Hey guys, Script here with another video. The next Star Wars movie is a historic first for the franchise. After 40 years, the Skywalker saga gets a fresh perspective. I think I know what this is going to be about with everything going on and some of the latest quotes from the director of the Rey movie. So let's find out. After almost 5 years, the Skywalker saga is finally heading back to the big screen. Lucasfilm has a few promising films in the pipeline, but there's one in particular that will present a historical shift for the franchise. The untitled Star Wars sequel starring Daisy Ridley. Ridley will reprise her role as Rey, this time in a sequel set some 15 years after her last appearance in Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Not much is known about the yet untitled film, other than its unique place in the Star Wars timeline. Okay, I guess. They're all unique in a way. But next we see Rey. She'll be a fully fledged Jedi Master. She might even be teaching an all-new class of Jedi hopefuls in the ways of the Force. Well, she is, but they're apparently in, quote, disarray, according to Kathleen Kennedy. If all goes to plan, the film could further the downright radical ideas that the sequel trilogy first introduced, but that won't be the only interesting development. Could further the downright radical. Most people I talk to don't want more radical ideas, or if you're gonna have a radical idea, let's do some better explaining and have it make sense. I mean, movies making sense kind of is good for lots of people. Plot lines making sense, stories, motivations, all those things. Things making sense is good. Lucasfilm's Rey will be helmed by Oscar-winning filmmaker Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. She's the first woman and the first person of color to direct a Star Wars film, and it's not a responsibility she takes lightly. What does it matter? Speaking to CNN on New Year's Eve, Obaid-Chinoy confessed to feeling thrilled about the project and about the doors it could open for other female filmmakers. Why is this always the issue? And I'll say this from two different perspectives. One, no one cares, right? Like ultimately, women don't care. Women don't care. Like, yes, in the fake social media world of Twitter and maybe Facebook, I don't have Facebook, but whatever, there are a tiny minority of women who are going to be like, yay, a woman of, not just a woman of color. But most Star Wars fans, female Star Wars fans, and male for that matter, but let's stick with the females, they never cared. They've always liked Star Wars. They don't care who directs it. They want it to be good. They don't care. This is just a social media weird, creepy. Why don't you just say she's an Oscar-winning filmmaker and she's excited to make a good movie? Why can't she just say that? Why can't she just say, I'm excited to be in Star Wars? Why does she have to say, I'm excited to be in Star Wars because I'm a woman and that's what Star Wars needs? I don't get it. I feel what we're about to create is something very special, she mused. We're in 2024 now, and it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape a story in a galaxy far, far away. Like, how about it's about time we had a good movie put out by Disney? Why do they always have to make it about themselves? See, that's where I get this feeling that it's kind of more like a narcissistic thing. It's like, I'm a woman and I'm a person of color, and it's about time I came forward to shape the galaxy. Those are immutable genetic traits. You didn't do anything. Your womanness is literally a 50-50 shot for your dad to hit the egg that is going to be female. Like, that's literally all it is. You had nothing to do with it. Your femaleness you didn't make that. That's just who you are. And whether or not you're brown, like, that's just who you are. No one cares. It's really bizarre to me that this is an issue and that they make this a thing. And somebody suggested on Twitter, and I think it's probably true, and they do this with a lot of things, they'll say, like, it's been done by a woman, so then if I watch the movie and I'm like, man, this movie kind of sucks, like, the plot's kind of dumb, and I start, like, chipping away at the story, and I realize there's, like, all these plot holes and things that don't make any sense, then people will say, oh, well, that's just, you just don't like that it's a woman that directed it. What if it just sucks? Like, what if it just sucks? But men, directed the other sequels and wrote them. Yeah, but that was under Kathleen Kennedy's approval. As the president, if Dave Filoni decided to do something in the Ahsoka show that she didn't like, now mind you, he's extremely into, like, we gotta have all women, but let's say he was just doing his job and whatever, wasn't trying to be an advocate or anything, and he was just making a show, and something happened in it that Kathleen Kennedy, who is a woman, didn't want in there, guess what has happened? It's not in there. So everybody who's making the films, whether they have a penis or a vagina, they're doing what she wants. That's what she hired them to do. So you could say, yeah, but maybe she doesn't. Maybe she lets them just have creative control and they're a man. Again, maybe she does. But at the end of the day, she has the final say, so she's approving what those men are putting out as a woman. So this whole thing, if anyone is actually buying it, and again, it's not anyone, it's like literally this teensy, pathetic non% of people on social media that just like to get all riled up in their sort of worship of Star Wars. Then, like I said, if I criticize it, or if Theory criticizes it, or if anyone, Neurotics, doesn't matter, criticizes it, then they come around on the replies and say that it's just because it's a woman. When in reality, it's the total opposite. It's actually really sad. And for me, and if you guys have been following my channel for a long time, you know this, I was actually really excited for a female lead in a Star Wars movie. I thought Daisy was the perfect look for it. Everything made sense. It was just really good. I thought they just did Rey's character and every other character in the movie dirty because it just didn't make any sense. The sequels are full of like total plot holes and problems and wastefulness and dumb ideas, which is why I literally rewrote them and re-edited them, because of the fact that they just were bad. You can make it good with a female lead. I believe my story is quite good with a female lead. And guess what? Here's what's crazy about it. It makes sense. Oh, a movie making sense? It's just... So this is all nonsense. Chinoy's comments run right to the heart of one of Lucasfilm's biggest blind spots. No Star Wars film has ever been helmed by a female director. The women have helped shape the saga from the beginning. Star Wars wouldn't be what it is today without editor Marcia Lucas. Yeah, correct. That's right. Oscar winner. Knew what she was doing. George Lucas, this is the part that pisses me off about people. George Lucas is a very creative guy, and he comes up with a lot of ideas. But like any heavy creative, like somebody who makes a universe, most of the time they need a lot of help to make it stick, especially a space thing, a space opera, and at the time it came out, guys like Tolkien that can create a whole universe just basically by himself that is like really, really good, is really, really rare. That's not normal. That's why Lord of the Rings is one of the top, 3 best-selling books of all time in the history of Earth, because that is just like an absolute incredible rarity. And by the way, there's a female named J.K. Rowling who did the same thing. And I don't know if you know this, but if you go to like Disney, or even if you Google the Harry Potter amusement park place, whatever the heck it's called, there's lots of guys there. There's dudes everywhere. In fact, there's as many, if not more, dudes that are into Harry Potter than females. No one cares that a female came up with it. No one gives a single crap. So this whole idea is so nonsensical. Or a screenwriter's Gloria Katz, absolutely. Leah Bragg, of course. And this whole idea that like these are minimal roles like compared to a director as well. Editing, the way Marcia changed the story with her editing is huge. I mean, look it up for yourself. It made a massive amount of difference. It cleaned up a lot of kind of messy stuff that George had thrown in there. And screenwriters are literally writing what's going to be on screen. So, like, you can say, like, the director's directing the characters and stuff like that. Yes, he's responsible, she's responsible for the overall look of everything in general. But in terms of the shots and all that stuff, they've got so many people. They've got storyboard people, and the screenwriters are writing what's going to happen on the screen. They're extremely important. So the idea that these women somehow are lesser than Chinoy because she's the director, I think that's just women punching down on other women. I think I'd like to see Chinoy win an Oscar for this Star Wars movie. Good luck with that. When your whole thing is just about being a woman, something you were born with. Lucasfilm President Kathleen Kennedy has also been shepherding the company for years, so there hasn't been a total dearth. What do you mean a total dearth? She's running the show. Like I said earlier, she decides what happens. So if they don't do what she wants, she changes it. Now you can say, well, but she hasn't changed anything. Well, that's probably because they're doing what she wants. If she hasn't changed anything, they're doing what she wants. But she probably has changed some stuff. We'll never know. But that's because they're doing what she wants. This isn't rocket science. That said, it's taken a while for that same inclusive impulse to trickle down to the director's chair. The franchise has made great strides on the small screen, but getting a female-directed Star Wars film off the ground has proven more difficult. For what it's worth, that seems to be the case across the board, according to a new report by USC Annenberg's Inclusion Initiative. Female directors are still struggling to score the same high-profile opportunities as their male contemporaries. That is true and untrue, but there is something to be said, and you can say what you want. The movies that women have been at the helm of haven't done super well. I know there's Barbie, obviously, but let's face it, it's got a Barbie logo on it. It's Barbie. It's 100 years of selling dolls. It's not like it's some new female character. It's Barbie. So, again, I'm not taking away from the people who made Barbie, but you also walked into a huge franchise, which, by the way, the CEO of Barbie was a woman for the majority of the time that it existed. So that whole part in the movie where it's like, oh, we gotta have, there's too many men. Even today, there's as many women men. I think it's like 5 women to 6 men. And for like the longest time, for decades, the CEO was a female. So this is all just made up nonsense. And, I mean, no offense to some of the female directors, like Deborah Choi is not a good director. She directed pretty crappy episodes. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm saying that while I'm also saying so did Filoni, so did Favreau, so did a lot of men. My issue is not that they're picking females or guys. It's that the females they're picking seem to have this sort of thing where they feel like they have to like make a statement about, you know, women or strong women, or make the women kind of some sort of new way, not the patriarchal, you know, don't be a normal woman, you got to be this. They view it from that perspective rather than, it seems that way at least, rather than just pushing forward with a good story. And at the end of the day, there's lots of men doing that now too, like as if. Like there's garbage coming from male directors all over the place. My issue is, isn't that there's a woman, why don't we get a woman who's like a real big fan of Star Wars? Like a woman who's like really loved it for years and knows the ins and outs and has been a fan, you know? Somebody who's super, super into it. I'm sure you could find that person, but it's more important that they find somebody who's like a woman of color, right? They got to say, oh, we checked that box or whatever. And I'm not saying Chinoy's going to do a bad job, although I have my doubts, because I don't even think there's anywhere to go. I think she's dead on arrival just based on the story prior to the new Rey movie. So I don't think, and the fact that Rey's taking Luke's arc, which pisses people off. So I don't think there's really anything she can do anyway. I want people that are fans and know what they're doing, understand the lore and understand the backstories, and don't create massive plot holes, whether they're men or women. And I'm sure they could find a woman that falls into that category. Maybe it's Chinoy. I mean, is she a huge Star Wars fan? Maybe. I don't know. But this whole woman-men thing, they just love division, eh? And by the way, yes, the film industry is a male-dominated industry, always has been. But there's other industries that are female-dominated. Nobody talks about it. It's perfectly okay for women to be dominant in certain fields. Totally okay. Nobody cares. Nobody says anything. Nobody says there needs to be more dudes in there. But as soon as it's dudes, they got to come in. And the other thing I would mention is there's people like Oprah, right? Oprah's like a super huge billionaire. There's huge wealthy people in the entertainment industry. Taylor Swift, all these people. Why don't they start their own company? Why doesn't Taylor Swift start her own record label and hire a pile of women and do it? Do it. Like Bill Burr said to that one lady in the interview where she's like, oh, but the women. And he's like, why don't you guys just do it? Instead of trying to come in and saying we need what men came up with, why don't you make up your own thing? You can do it. You got the money now. You got the power now. Just do it. And that's the whole issue too for me. It's like we have to insert women in just because they're women into areas that were male dominated instead of just starting your own thing. Oprah, start your own production house. Start your own production house if you want more women, right? If it's bugging you. Same with, like you look at what the Daily Wire's done, right? They started their own production company. They're making movies and TV shows now because they were angry about what they describe as the woke media. Okay, so they were upset that there was a hole in the industry that they felt they could fill, and they went ahead and filled it. There's lots of women with the ability to do that. Kathleen Kennedy is worth who knows how many hundreds of millions of dollars. She could start her own production company. She could write a sci-fi movie or a space opera movie or whatever she wants to do. She could pack it full of women. But it's all about changing what has already existed. And again, no one really cares if women are directing it, but it's just interesting to me that no woman out there that's like really, really wealthy is taking the initiative. It's just all about insertion, which I find a little bit weird. Female directors are still struggling to score the same high-profile opportunities as their male counterparts. Again, the movies that have been directed by women in the last few years haven't done very well. There's a few, again, Barbie, whatever, but not very many. Out of the 116 highest grossing films of 2023, just 12.1% were helmed by women. I mean, that's kind of saying something a little bit, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, just 12.1%. So they're almost like they're saying that they're actually scapegoating here. This sentence is implying that it's men are being placed in director roles that end up being successful films. And if a woman had just got into that director role, the more women would be in the top grossing movies as directors. So what are you saying? That the director has nothing to do with it? And if the director has nothing to do with it, then what does it matter if women are going to be directors? Who cares? Because they don't do anything anyway. So obviously the fact that they were men doesn't change, doesn't change whether or not they'd be successful, right? It's just about putting more women in those positions. Maybe the director has a job to do, and those guys just did a better job, and the women that did their movies just didn't do so well. Now you're going to say, well, but it's high profile. That is totally changing, right? Because some of those movies that women were heavily involved with were high profile. Marvel movies, different things like that, and they failed miserably. This whole thing is so dumb and so out of control. That might be surprising, as 2023 was the year of the highly visible female-led stories, but the success of films like Barbie has proven to be the exception, while the industry's efforts to diversify film sets remains performative. It remains performative. I mean, are they doing a good job directing or not? Is it a good movie or not? Maybe their movies kind of sucked. That's why they didn't get into the 116. And at the same time, you're saying that the director doesn't really matter then, if it's just a matter of placement, and then you get all the highest grossing films just by being there and not actually doing a good job. So what are they even saying? Lucasfilm is just one of many studios behind the curve. It's not meant to absolve the company, but to illustrate how much the industry as a whole still needs to improve. Hopefully, Chinoy's upcoming film will help change things for the better, but Hollywood still has a long way to go before female-directed films aren't such a novelty. It has to be good. It has to be good. I don't want to see a Mangold Star Wars movie. I don't. Indiana Jones 5 was crap. The last thing I want this idiot doing is messing around with the origin of the Jedi, taking all the mystery away from the Force that you need in a fantasy film. He's a crappy director. But you could also say, like I said earlier, he was just towing the line that Kennedy got him to tow. A lot of people would make that argument based on Phoebe Watt's character and the way they changed everything, and with Indy and everything, that maybe he was just going along with what Kathleen Kennedy said. And guess what? If that's the case, this movie's going to bomb, and they're going to blame it on the patriarchy because Kathleen Kennedy is going to get Chinoy to write and direct a movie what she wants done in it. And then, oh, it's the patriarchy. Oh, it's this, it's that. When no one cares, just make it good. If Chinoy makes a good Star Wars movie, which, again, I think she's against the 8 ball because there's nowhere really to go from here, but whatever. If she makes a good movie, then give her more. That's how it works. I don't remember who it is that did the Barbie movie, but most people think it was a pretty good movie. I thought it was kind of funny. I didn't mind it. Kind of corny, but, I mean, they did a good job in a lot of aspects of it. She's going to get more high-profile director jobs. That's how it works. If your movie sucks and you don't get into the highest-grossing movies, you're not going to get hired for high-profile movies. That's how it works. Think about it this way. George Lucas made Star Wars from his own brain. He didn't get handed a high-profile movie. In fact, nobody wanted it. It was independent because nobody would give him any money because nobody thought it was a good idea. He believed in it. So nobody handed him the director's chair and Lucasfilm. He created it. Like I said earlier, go create something, and then you can do whatever you want. He created it. Steven Spielberg and George Lucas wrote Indiana Jones from their brains. That's why they ran the show on Indiana Jones. They didn't just hire another director in to do their thing. They made it up themselves. That's the issue. So go make something. Go create something instead of being like, we need to be pigeonholed into these roles because patriarchy, and if we don't, Lucasfilm is bad. Just make a good movie. I don't care your sex, but again, why don't you start your own thing too, right? Why are you always thinking that you have to just be pushed into these situations? And again, Lucasfilm is completely run by women. It's written by women. Give me a break. High Republic, all of it. It's women, and men like Filoni who are just going to do the bidding of Kathleen Kennedy. So this is all nonsense. This is, again, setting up the marketing so that if I criticize it, I'm a bigot and I just don't like women, even though it's going to suck. There's no way of doing anything with Rey at this point. I don't know why they're even making this movie. You guys let me know in the comment section what you think. This is getting totally out of control with this stupid man-woman division bull crap. You let me know what you think. Do you have any hope for this movie? Are you even going to watch it? Do you care? Do you care if it's a woman director? Or do you just want good Star Wars? Let me know in the comments section. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. And thanks very much for watching. Check out any of my other Star Wars content on my channel. And have yourselves a really good day.